we glean a lot more great character detail here in this passage about Mildred. So Mildred's response to her husband, again, really helps us understand her character and how selfish she is. She really only cares about herself. She says, books aren't people. You read and I look around, but there isn't anybody. She says, now my family is people. They tell me things. I laugh. They laugh. And the colors. And then later she says, he might come and burn the house and the family. That's awful. So Mildred's really only concerned about herself here in this situation. She's not worried about this crisis that her husband's going through, or the fact that a woman burned herself with her books, or the fact that Clarice has disappeared and possibly been killed. And we also see from her reaction that she's very materialistic. She really only cares about her stuff, her house, her TV, her parlor walls. And we can also tell that she lives in this false reality. She talks about the parlor walls, and she says, my family is people. They tell me things. I laugh. They laugh. And she talks about how Beatty might come and burn the house and the family. So this family here that she keeps talking about, this is not referring to Montag. This is not referring to the actual people who live in this house. For her, the family actually equals her TV characters. And so we really see this false reality that Mildred lives in. She believes these TV characters are more important to her than the actual people in her house, than her actual husband. She has more of a relationship with these made-up individuals on these programs and interacts with them more than she does her real husband, her real family. So she's created this false reality for herself. Really very much showing her superficial and, again, materialistic, selfish lifestyle. It's all about these surface relationships. It's all about her instant gratification and her pleasure. So she doesn't want to read, right? Because this would go against her selfish desires. And she asks Montag, why should she bother? And he's got this great response. What for? Why? Said Montag. I saw the damnedest snake in the world the other night. It was dead, but it was alive. I could see it, but it couldn't see. You want to see that snake? It's at emergency hospital where they filed a report on all the junk the snake got out of you. Would you like to go and check their file? Maybe you'd look under Guy Montag, or maybe under fear or war. Would you like to go to that house that burned last night and rake ashes for the bones of the woman who set fire to her own house? What about Clarice McClellan? Where do we look for her? The morgue? Listen! The bombers crossed the sky and crossed the sky over the house, gasping, murmuring, whistling like an immense invisible fan circling in emptiness. Jesus God, said Montag. Every hour so many damn things in the sky. How in hell did these bombers get up there every single second of our lives? Why doesn't someone want to talk about it? We've started and won 2 atomic wars since 1960. Is it because we're having so much fun at home we've forgotten the world? Is it because we're so rich and the rest of the world's so poor and we just don't care if they are? I've heard rumors. The world is starving, but we're well fed. Is it true? The world works hard and we play? Is that why we're hated so much? I've heard the rumors about hate, too, once in a long while over the years. Do you know why? I don't, that's sure. Maybe the books can get us half out of the cave. They might just stop us from making the same damn insane mistakes. I don't hear those idiot bastards in your parlor talking about it. God, Millie, don't you see? An hour a day, 2 hours with these books, and maybe... The telephone rang. Mildred snatched the phone. So clearly here, Mildred doesn't want to hear what he has to say. As soon as she has any excuse to get out of the room, to not listen to what he's telling her, she takes it. And of course, she turns to technology. For her, technology is a distraction from facing reality. And the reality is why Montag wants to look at these books. So he tells us here, maybe the books can get us half out of the cave. They just might stop us from making the same damn insane mistakes. So he's referring here to Plato's allegory of the cave. This story of this man who's a prisoner in a cave and doesn't know anything about the real world. And this is how Montag feels. He feels like he's a prisoner in this society and he doesn't understand truth. He doesn't know anything about what's really going on. And part of this is because they're purposefully kept in the dark, right? So he tells us, is it true the world works hard and we play? I've heard rumors the world is starving and we're well fed. So we can tell here that they're very heavily censored, meaning there are a lot of things that they don't know about that's kept from them. They're kept from knowledge and truth of the real world. And he wants to understand. And he thinks maybe if he can read these books, it'll help him understand. He also thinks they should read these books because things are clearly wrong in their society. And Montag makes this reference here to the snake that's at the emergency hospital where they filed a report on all the junk the snake got out of you. So he's referring back to Mildred's OD, to her overdose on pain pills. So she asks, why should I read? Why should I wonder? Why should I try and think any bit about this life that I've created for himself? And his response here is, clearly something is wrong. Clearly you're not happy. We're not happy. If things were okay, you wouldn't be taking an entire bottle of sleeping pills and then not even realize it happened the next morning. And then he also talks about the woman who burned herself with the books, and Clarice McClellan, and the fact that there are bombers across the sky, and the fact that they've had 2 atomic wars since 1960. Clearly, things are not right in this society. So overall, we find out that this is a dystopic society. So a dystopia means a perfect society, a perfect place, gone terribly wrong. So on the surface, this seems like a perfect society. No one has to read books. No one has to think for themselves. Everything is centered around pleasure and technology and superficial, immediate gratification. Sounds awesome. But the more you dig, the more you realize that these things aren't actually working. They're not making people happy. There's 9 or 10 cases of overdoses a night. Kids are killing each other. People are risking everything to try and harbor books. They're on the brink of war, and they fought 2 atomic wars since 1960. So again, we see Bradbury here playing off of the time period. So he writes this during the Cold War, particularly during the portion of the Cold War called the Red Scare, when Americans were truly on the brink of war with the USSR. And this wasn't going to be an ordinary war because both sides now had atomic weapons. This would mean an atomic war. This would mean assured destruction of both countries, if not the entire planet. So Bradbury here is taking this idea of atomic warfare and projecting it into the future and what society and war would look like in the future with these weapons of mass destruction and the fear that's always looming that with the push of a button, we can end life as we know it.